Commander Lee Sung-ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stood before the massive quantum transmitter array. The machine hummed with power that could light up entire cities. His weathered hands, scarred from decades of engineering work, moved across the control panel with practiced precision. Today was the day humanity had been preparing for, since the first cave paintings showed strange lights in the sky. "Final systems check complete, Commander," called out Technician Park Hyun-woo from across the vast control room. Banks of computers, stretched as far as the eye could see, each one monitoring different aspects of the most ambitious project in human history. The facility, buried deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, was just one of 12 identical stations scattered across the globe. Lee Sung-ho's earpiece crackled to life. "Seoul Station reporting ready," came the voice of Dr. Park Ji-won, her tone calm despite the magnitude of what they were about to do. 300 feet beneath the bustling streets of Seoul, she sat in a chamber that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Holographic displays showed the positions of alien spacecraft that had been watching Earth for longer than recorded history. "The Kethani vessel is maintaining position near Jupiter's fourth moon," Dr. Park Ji-won reported, adjusting her headset as streams of data flowed across her screens. "The Zephyrian observation post is still active in the asteroid belt. I count 17 different alien civilizations currently monitoring our planet. For 40 years, Dr. Park Ji-won had dedicated her life to tracking these silent watchers. She remembered being a young graduate student when the first alien signals were detected. Back then, governments had tried to keep it secret. Now every major nation on Earth was part of the greatest conspiracy in human history, the conspiracy to be ready. "Moscow Station confirms ready status," reported Kim Min-ho from his position at the communications array. His fingers danced across keyboards that connected him to similar facilities in Russia, Brazil, Australia, India, and 8 other countries. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity had been listening to their conversations for decades. The breakthrough had come 20 years ago when engineer Choi Dong-hyun cracked the alien communication codes. Suddenly, humanity could hear everything. The debates about whether humans would destroy themselves with nuclear weapons, the betting pools on how long human civilization would last, the protocols for intervention if humanity became too dangerous. Most shocking of all were the statistics. 94% of species never made it past their technological adolescence. They either blew themselves up, poisoned their planets, or fell into civil wars that ended their civilizations. The aliens had seen it happen thousands of times across the galaxy. But humanity was different. Every war had taught them something new. Every crisis had made them stronger. While the aliens watched and waited for humanity to fail, humans had been reverse engineering crashed alien technology, studying their weaknesses and preparing for this moment. "London reports the quantum drives are spinning up," Kim Min-ho announced. Across the Atlantic, massive machines that had taken decades to build were coming online. The aliens thought human spacecraft were primitive chemical rockets. They had no idea about the fleet of faster-than-light vessels hidden in underground hangars around the world. Lee Sung-ho checked his watch. In orbital facilities that the aliens couldn't detect, Captain Nam Soo-jin and her crew were making final preparations aboard humanity's first interstellar vessel. It wasn't the colony ship the aliens expected. It was a fortress bristling with weapons designed specifically to counter alien technology. "All stations report ready for transmission," Kim Min-ho called out. His voice carried the weight of years of preparation. Every nation had contributed their best scientists, engineers, and military personnel to this project. Old enemies had become allies. Ancient rivalries had been set aside for the greater good of the species. Dr. Park Ji-won's voice came through the speakers again. "Alien communication networks are quiet. They have no idea what's coming." Lee Sung-ho smiled grimly. The aliens had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength. While other species either conquered their aggressive nature or were destroyed by it, humans had learned to channel their fighting spirit into cooperation when facing external threats. "Begin transmission," Lee Sung-ho commanded. The quantum transmitter array erupted with energy. Across the globe, 11 other identical machines fired simultaneously. The combined signal was powerful enough to reach every corner of the galaxy instantly. But this wasn't just a message. It was a data package containing blueprints for technologies that would revolutionize space travel, defensive systems that could neutralize the galaxy's most feared weapons, and scientific discoveries that surpassed civilizations millions of years older than humanity. On alien monitoring stations throughout the solar system, emergency alarms began blaring. The primitive species they had been watching had just demonstrated capabilities that shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years. But the most terrifying part wasn't the technology, it was the message that accompanied it. So we have been listening, we have been learning, we have been preparing. The coordinates included will lead you to our representatives. We're ready. Are you? Senior Monitor. Thexal's 6 eyes widened in horror as the human transmission flooded his screens. The Kethani observation station, a massive crystalline structure hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon, had been monitoring Earth for 3,000 years. Never in all that time had they witnessed anything like this. Impossible, Thexal whispered, his translucent blue skin turning pale as data streams revealed technology that shouldn't exist. The humans weren't broadcasting primitive radio signals, begging for contact. Instead, they were transmitting detailed schematics for faster-than-light engines that made the Kethani's own propulsion systems look like ancient steam engines. Across the station, junior monitors abandoned their posts to crowd around Thexal's workstation. The holographic displays showed human spacecraft designs that could cross the galaxy in days, rather than the centuries it took Kethani vessels. But that wasn't the most shocking discovery. "Look at these weapon specifications," gasped Monitor, Veltar pointing at blueprints that made their blood run cold. "These defensive matrices could neutralize our plasma cannons completely." Back on Earth, Dr. Choi So-young sat in her laboratory beneath the mountains of Switzerland, watching the alien panic unfold through intercepted communications. She had spent 15 years perfecting the translation algorithms that allowed humanity to understand every alien language in the galaxy. Now those same aliens were learning that their secrets had never been safe. "The Zephyrian Council is calling an emergency session," she reported to her team. Around her, massive quantum computers processed incoming alien transmissions at light speed. The Velthari Empire just upgraded their threat level from green to red. They're actually scared. Dr. Choi So-young smiled as she reviewed the data package they were broadcasting to the stars. Every breakthrough that had led to this moment flashed across her screens. Chodong Jin's revolutionary discovery of quantum foam manipulation that allowed instant travel across impossible distances. Han Yu-jin's defensive matrices that could create energy shields strong enough to stop planet-killing weapons. Li Min-seo's gravity manipulation technology that could crush entire fleets without firing a single shot. What the aliens didn't understand was that humanity's greatest achievements had come not from peaceful cooperation, but from the pressure of constant competition. Every nation had pushed the others to excel. Every crisis had forced new innovations. Every conflict had taught valuable lessons that peaceful species never learned. "General Nam Tai-ho, we're receiving multiple alien transmissions," called out Lieutenant Yoon Jae-sung from the communications center. The underground facility stretched for miles beneath the Korean mountains, filled with technology that looked like magic, even to the humans who built it. General Nam Tai-ho laughed as he watched the alien channels explode with panicked messages. His weathered face, marked by decades of military service, showed the satisfaction of a plan finally coming together. "Let me guess, they're debating whether to unite against us or surrender immediately." For 20 years, General Nam Tai-ho had led the most successful intelligence operation in human history. His teams had infiltrated alien communication networks, mapped their military capabilities, and identified weaknesses that the aliens themselves didn't know existed. While the galaxy's great powers thought humanity was busy fighting wars and destroying their environment, human agents had been stealing alien technology and learning their deepest secrets. "Sir, the Kethani are broadcasting on emergency frequencies," reported Major Park Sung-min, adjusting his headset as alien voices filled the command center. They're warning other civilizations about our impossible advancement rate. Impossible. General Nam Te-ho grinned. They clearly don't understand humans very well. The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since the first UFO crash in 1947. Every recovered piece of alien technology had been studied, reverse-engineered, and improved upon. Every intercepted alien transmission had revealed new weaknesses to exploit. Every crisis that should have destroyed humanity had instead taught them valuable lessons about survival and adaptation. Dr. Choi So-young's voice echoed through the facility's speakers as she reported from Switzerland. The transmission is reaching the Outer Rim territories now. We're detecting massive fleet movements from at least 12 different civilizations. They're either coming to destroy us or negotiate with us. Let them come, General Nam Te-ho replied, watching as holographic displays showed human spacecraft emerging from hidden bases around the world. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species that barely understood fire. Instead, they were facing a civilization that had weaponized their own destructive nature and turned it into the ultimate survival tool. The final segment of humanity's transmission began broadcasting across every frequency in the galaxy, coordinates to a location near Alpha Centauri, where humanity's first interstellar mission waited. But this wasn't a colony ship filled with hopeful explorers. It was a fortress, commanded by Admiral Yang Ji-hoon, surrounded by a fleet of vessels that could challenge any power in the galaxy. The message that accompanied those coordinates was simple, direct, and terrifying in its implications. We have been watching you watch us. We know your weaknesses. We have surpassed your technology. We're ready to take our place in the galaxy as equals, not subjects. The question is, are you ready for us? Across the galaxy, ancient civilizations that had never known fear suddenly understood what it meant to face an enemy that learned from every defeat and grew stronger with every challenge. Admiral Yang Ji-hoon stood on the bridge of the massive, human vessel New Earth, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the alien fleet emerge from hyperspace. The viewport showed a sight that would have terrified humanity just decades ago. Hundreds of alien warships, each one larger than a city, their hulls gleaming with technologies that had conquered galaxies. But Yang Ji-hoon felt no fear. Behind him, the bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as his crew prepared for what might be the most important battle in human history. The New Earth wasn't just humanity's first deep space vessel. It was a fortress that had taken 30 years to build, hidden in the asteroid belt where alien sensors couldn't detect it. Captain Moon Sora, status report, Yang Ji-hoon called out, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Captain Moon Sora moved between control stations with practiced grace, her trained eyes scanning holographic displays that showed the positions of both fleets. She had been born in space, raised on secret military stations that officially didn't exist, and trained her entire life for this single encounter. All defensive systems online, Admiral, she reported, her fingers dancing across controls that managed weapons the aliens had never seen before. The escort fleet is in formation, energy shields at maximum power. Through the viewport, Yang Ji-hoon could see the ships that surrounded the New Earth, sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around them, making them appear like ghosts against the starfield. These weren't the primitive rockets the aliens expected. They were spacecraft that could manipulate space itself, fold dimensions, and travel faster than anything in the known galaxy. Light years away on the ancient space station that served as the Galactic Council's headquarters, emergency sessions were being held in chambers that hadn't seen such panic in millennia. The station itself was a marvel of engineering, a massive ring structure orbiting a dying star, home to representatives from over 200 civilizations. The humans have violated every protocol, declared Councillor Zethmara of the Keth-Ani hegemony, her crystalline form flickering with agitation. No species advances this quickly, it's impossible. Around the circular chamber, beings from across the galaxy argued in dozens of languages. Some looked like insects, others like living energy, and still others like geometric shapes that defied description. But all shared the same growing terror. Humanity had somehow leapfrogged millions of years of evolution in just a few decades. Look, at these readings, hissed Councillor Vexistar, a serpentine creature whose species had been spacefaring when Earth was still molten rock. Their vessels are bending space-time itself. Our weapons would be useless against such technology. Back. On the new Earth, Lieutenant Quan Hye-jin monitored the alien fleet from her position at the sensor array. Banks of advanced computers analyzed every ship in the approaching armada, identifying weapons, defensive systems, and structural weaknesses that could be exploited if negotiations failed. "Sir," she reported, her voice tight with concentration, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their approaching fleet. Their weapons are charging to full power. They're not here for peaceful contact." Yang Ji-hoon nodded grimly. Human intelligence had predicted this response. The aliens had spent thousands of years believing they were the guardians of galactic civilization. The idea that a primitive species could challenge their authority was unthinkable to them. "Tactical analysis, Lieutenant," Yang Ji-hoon asked. 17 different ship classes, Admiral. Their largest vessels are equipped with planet killers, weapons that can crack worlds in half. "But, sir," Lieutenant Quan Hye-jin smiled as her computers finished their calculations. "Our defensive matrices should be able to neutralize their primary weapons completely." The bridge's communication system crackled to life as Dr. Shin Jae-min's voice reached them from Earth, traveling instantly across impossible distances through quantum communication arrays that the aliens didn't know existed. "Admiral Yang, we're monitoring the situation from the command center," Dr. Shin Jae-min reported. Behind his voice, they could hear the hum of the massive underground facility where humanity's greatest minds coordinated their species' entry into galactic politics. "Remember, we prepared for this scenario. Every simulation, every war game, every moment of human conflict has led to this encounter." Yang Ji-hoon touched the communication panel. "Understood, Dr. Shin. What's the current assessment from Earth?" "The alien fleets are converging from 12 different sectors, Dr. Shin," Jae-min replied. "But our deep space sensors show they're not coordinating well. Old rivalries between species are causing confusion in their ranks, just like we predicted." Captain Moon So-ra smiled as she overheard the transmission. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't their advanced technology, it was their understanding of conflict itself. While other species had evolved past their aggressive natures or been destroyed by them, humans had learned to channel their fighting spirit into cooperation when facing external threats. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the alien fleet," reported Communications Officer Lee Da-young. "They're demanding our immediate surrender." Yang Ji-hoon straightened his uniform and walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew prepared for what might be the last negotiation humanity would ever need to have with their cosmic neighbors. "Open the channel," he commanded. "It's time to show them that humanity doesn't ask for permission to exist." The viewport filled with the image of alien commanders from species that had ruled the galaxy for millions of years. But for the first time in their ancient lives, they were looking at humans as equals. Not subjects seeking approval, but potential enemies to be feared or allies to be respected. The alien delegation materialized in shimmering columns of light on the polished floor of humanity's conference chamber. Senior Counselor Thexel of the Cathani stepped forward, his crystalline form towering 8 feet tall, expecting to see primitive humans cowering before his magnificent presence. Instead, he found himself face to face with Director Yoon Min-ji, a woman whose confident posture and steady gaze immediately unsettled him. The chamber itself was a masterpiece of human engineering, walls that seemed to be made of liquid starlight, gravity fields that could be adjusted at will, and holographic displays showing real-time images of battles being fought across the galaxy. This wasn't the crude metal box the aliens had expected to find. "Welcome to Humanity Station Alpha," Director Yoon Min-ji said in perfect Cathani, her pronunciation flawless down to the harmonic undertones that most species couldn't even hear. "We've been monitoring your communications about our worthiness for quite some time." The alien delegates froze. Behind Thexel, Councillor Vextar's serpentine body coiled in shock. The insectoid representative Zekth's compound eyes flickered with disbelief. In all their thousands of years of first contact protocols, no primitive species had ever greeted them in their own languages. Impossible, whispered Thexal in his native tongue, forgetting that the humans could understand every word. How could they learn our sacred dialects? Director Yoon Minji smiled. We've had excellent teachers. Your own transmissions, actually. Did you really think we couldn't intercept signals sent through open space? Captain Oh Seung-woo stood beside her, his casual stance hiding the deadly purpose behind his position. His hand rested on a control panel that looked deceptively simple, just smooth surfaces and gentle lights. But the alien delegates' enhanced sensors were screaming warnings about the massive energy signatures emanating from those innocent-looking controls. Interesting weaponry, Vextar hissed, his forked tongue tasting the air for chemical signatures. I detect gravitational distortions, quantum disruption fields, and something else. Something we don't recognize. Behind the human delegation, engineer Lim De-eun worked at consoles that displayed defensive capabilities beyond alien comprehension. Her screens showed energy shields that could withstand planet-killing weapons, defensive drones that moved faster than light, and something the aliens found most disturbing, detailed schematics of their own vessels, complete with structural weaknesses and tactical vulnerabilities. You've been studying our ships, Zekth clicked in his insectoid language, his mandibles spreading in what his species considered a threat display. For decades, engineer Lim Da-eun replied, without looking up from her work. Your hull compositions are quite predictable once you understand the metallurgy. The Kethani prefer crystalline matrices, beautiful but brittle under harmonic stress. The Zephyrians use biomechanical hulls that are vulnerable to specific energy frequencies. The Velthari Empire relies on energy shields that can be overloaded with quantum feedback loops. The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to proceed. The humans should be begging for technology, pleading for acceptance into galactic civilization, offering tributes in exchange for protection. Instead, they were calmly discussing how to destroy every major fleet in the galaxy. Director Yoon Min-ji gestured to chairs that rose from the floor, each one perfectly designed for the specific anatomy of their guests. Please, sit. We have much to discuss. You dare treat us as mere visitors? Thexal's voice resonated with centuries of authority. We are the Galactic Council. We decide which species deserve to survive their technological adolescence. Ah, yes, Director Yoon Min-ji nodded, her smile never wavering. We've heard your debates. Councillor Vextar argued for destroying us 3 years ago. Zeketh voted to wait another century. And you, Thexal, suggested we might be useful as a slave species if we survived long enough. The silence that followed was deafening. These humans had not only been listening to their private communications, but had understood the political implications behind every decision. Captain Oh Seung-woo's hand moved slightly on his control panel, and suddenly the chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the vast space surrounding them. The alien delegates gasped as they saw hundreds of human vessels in perfect formation, each one crackling with energy signatures that made their own flagships look like children's toys. Fayu debated whether to destroy us preemptively, Director Yoon Min-ji continued, her voice carrying the weight of absolute confidence. We've prepared for that possibility. Every human ship out there was designed specifically to counter your weapons, exploit your weaknesses, and defend our people from any threat you might pose. Engineer Lim Da-eun's console chimed softly. Director, we're receiving reports from Earth. The Chinese lunar base has completed their gravity cannon tests. The Brazilian orbital platform is ready to deploy singularity torpedoes. The European Deep Space Fleet has successfully tested their dimensional displacement drives. Dimensional displacement? Vextar's voice cracked with fear. That technology was lost to the ancients millions of years ago. Lost to you, perhaps, Director Yoon, Minji replied. But humans have a talent for rediscovering things that others have forgotten. We also have a talent for improving upon what we find. The alien delegates were beginning to understand that they were no longer dealing with a primitive species seeking approval. These humans had somehow leapfrogged millions of years of technological development and were now demanding to be treated as equals rather than subjects. The question now, Director Yoon Min-ji said, her tone becoming serious, is whether you're ready to accept us as partners rather than subjects. Because make no mistake, humanity is joining the galactic community today. The only choice you have is whether we do it as allies or as conquerors. President Ryu Sung-min stood at the center of the magnificent council chamber that humanity had constructed in just 6 months. The structure itself was a marvel that left alien visitors speechless. Walls made of crystallized starlight, gravity fields that allowed beings from different worlds to sit comfortably together, and holographic displays showing real-time images from across the galaxy. Around the curved chamber sat representatives from dozens of civilizations, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. The towering Kethani with their crystal bodies, the serpentine Zephyrians coiled in specially designed seats, insectoid beings whose compound eyes reflected rainbow patterns, and energy creatures that existed as pure light contained in geometric frames. Esteemed colleagues, President Ryu Sung-min began, his voice carrying clearly through translation devices that converted his words into over 100 different languages simultaneously. For millennia, you've maintained galactic order. Through hierarchy, the old civilizations at the top making decisions for everyone else, you forgot the most important truth in the universe, that competition breeds strength, that conflict teaches adaptation. Beside him stood Fleet Commander Ahn Ji-young, her uniform displaying rank insignia that now carried weight throughout the galaxy. Just 18 months ago, she had been an unknown human officer. Today, her fleets patrolled star systems that had been forbidden to younger species for millions of years. Commander Ahn's forces are currently stationed in the Vega system. President Ryu Sung-min continued, gesturing to holographic displays that showed human vessels working alongside alien ships. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council declared that system off-limits to all but the eldest races. Today, human and alien crews work together to defend it from threats none of us could face alone. In the front row, former Councillor Thexal shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The proud Kethani leader, who had once debated humanity's destruction, now found himself negotiating mining rights with the species he had considered primitive. The humans had offered something no civilization had ever provided: true partnership, instead of subordination. Dr. Bae Min-jung approached the central podium, carrying a data crystal that contained the most important document in galactic history. The new charter she had written didn't just add humanity to the existing power structure. It completely redesigned how galactic civilization would operate. The old system was based on age and technological advancement, Dr. Bae Min-jung explained, her words causing murmurs throughout the chamber. The oldest species made all the decisions. Younger civilizations waited centuries for permission to expand beyond their home systems. This charter changes everything. The holographic displays around the chamber showed the new galactic map. Instead of the rigid territorial boundaries that had existed for millennia, space was now divided into cooperative zones where multiple species worked together. Human innovation combined with alien wisdom. Ancient knowledge merged with fresh perspectives. Under the new system, Dr. Bae Min-jung continued, advancement comes through cooperation and competition, not through waiting for approval from elder species. Every civilization has something valuable to contribute regardless of age. Representative Vextar, whose species had ruled the Outer Rim for 10,000 years, raised one of his serpentine appendages. What happens to our established territories, our traditional authority? President Ryu Sung-min smiled. Your authority remains, but now it's earned rather than inherited. The Zephyrian mastery of bioengineering is unmatched. We need that expertise. The Kethani understanding of energy manipulation is centuries ahead of our own. We want to learn from you. But in return, you gain access to human adaptability and innovation. Suddenly, the chamber's emergency communication system activated. Commander Seo Ji-hoo's voice echoed from the Military Coordination Center, located deep within the station. All stations, we have hostile forces detected in Sector 7. Unknown vessels are attacking the joint mining operation at Kepler 442. The alien representatives tensed, For millennia, such threats had been handled by whichever elder species claimed authority over that region. But now, something unprecedented happened. Human-alien joint fleet responding, Commander Seoji-Hu reported. ETA 15 minutes, all species contributing vessels to the defense force. Through the chamber's transparent walls, they could see ships launching from the station's massive docking bays. Human vessels with their reality-bending drives worked alongside Cathani crystal ships, Zephyrian biomechanical cruisers, and energy, beings that traveled as pure light between the stars. "This is impossible," whispered Elder Zekth, his insectoid form trembling with amazement. 5 different species, coordinating a joint military response in minutes rather than months of debate. Fleet Commander An Ji-young touched her communication device. "Commander Seo, status update. Hostile forces identified as Void Stalkers," came the reply. "The raiders who've been attacking Outer Rim colonies. But they weren't expecting our combined response. Human quantum torpedoes are disrupting their stealth systems while Cathani energy beams target their engines. Zephyrian bioships are jamming their communications." Within an hour, reports came back of a decisive victory. The raiders who had terrorized the galaxy's frontier for years had been defeated by a coordinated response that would have been impossible under the old system. "This is what humanity brings to the galaxy," President Ryu Sung-min declared, as celebration echoed through the chamber. "Not just advanced technology, but a new way of thinking. We don't avoid conflict, we learn from it. We don't fear competition, we use it to become stronger." Around the chamber, representatives who had once debated humanity's destruction were now eager to sign defense pacts and trade agreements. The age of paternalistic guidance was ending, replaced by an era where strength came from cooperation rather than domination. As alien and human crews returned from their first joint victory, the galaxy began to understand what humanity had always known, that true strength came not from avoiding conflict, but from learning to overcome it together. The masses end.